Hey guys, JT here, and today we're playing the Stanley Parable, but before we do, let's have some fun with the sliders. Please adjust the slider until the dog and cat are friends. There we go. Be a little bit wholesome. Okay. I don't want to do all the slider stuff. Okay, I won't adjust the slider. And no, I don't know what time it is. No. No, you got yourself into this mess, game. But I will come back to visit you. I don't know if this is a narrator or just the game itself. It's very confusing. Of course, the game itself is very confusing. That being said, I think we're in for a surprise today. I just have a good feeling.
What could it mean?
Which is something I haven't had for a while because I had a stomach ache. Because as it comes around to the holiday seasons, I have to get sick.
Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry I brushed by that. I was busy telling you guys about my stomach problems, which I doubt you want to hear. New content stuff. Now we're talking. Alright, elevator like last time.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Oh, nice. The game's finally gotten a sequel.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Well, you're not wrong. I've been asking for a sequel. I mean, I know the game's perfect, but
Calling
still.
it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement.
The two doors are back.
It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Let's see.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
This way to the show floor.
That if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts,
New features.
that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them.
Bus now.
It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
I can ride the bus in Stanley Parable 2. That's different.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Alright, let's see. Please no screenshots.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on get well someday and happy 12th birthday. Which would you go with?
Get well someday.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
Oh, for Pete's sakes. Good, pop those balloons.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Free. That's new easy content to get. Free achievement. Get yours right now. Pull the lever, receive your new achievement. No more steps.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Come on, let me achieve something. Alright. Let's see then. Just a dark corridor.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Oh, this is new.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Well, I got one collectible. Collect them all.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Oh, come on, dude. I love rewards. The name button. I gotta see this. What is the name
Stanley
button?
Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Jim. Isn't that... Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim. Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the
Come
backstory.
on.
If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button.
I mean,
Otherwise,
I don't
it's
think
just a
this
stupid button that says
button will
somebody
really
else's
be
name.
as much of a game
Okay,
changer
we're doing
as
it again,
you
and
think
this
it will
time let
be.
me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally dying a slow death at an old age surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. You clever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I work very hard on?
Oh, what is this? A giant abyss? Well, yes and no. can see the abyss but can't go
Maybe I'll
through it.
only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here.
Merch. Most important part of a video game.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem.
Oh, here we go.
It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable.
I mean, you could do that, but alright.
Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Alright, I'm looking forward to it. Let's get going with this bucket.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award.
That's a bit creepy.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
Oh boy, this should be interesting.
Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Alright. How do we get down there?
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Yeah.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it.
I
No
love
matter how
it,
good these gags
and that
are,
should
they
matter.
won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Alright. Let's go ahead and do that. In the game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came
And
to
hopefully
him
got
through a
paid a reasonable amount to do
Tell
so.
me what buttons to push. How
Look,
long
pushing
to
buttons
push.
is a lot more complicated than you think.
Employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something
It was
he
the
would never
sequel to
quite
his
forget.
very own video game.
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong.
And different.
Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Happy 12th
Stanley decided to go to the
birthday
meeting room.
step.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley picked up the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
And indeed
And
it
here
is.
was. Had the bucket turned out to
Cold
be
drinks.
correct? Was this meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the
Meeting
bucket
room hasn't
turned
really
out to be.
changed though, but to be fair, you can't change perfection.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and
He
comfort now
crisped
more
out of the
than ever.
broom closet.
Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults
I don't hear
simply in
anything.
order to get you to hand over the bucket?
Except
Stanley,
you.
I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I'd never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of
Stanley
your
keeps a
feelings
journal?
as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oh, hey, hidden figure.
Found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Mm.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this.
Whoa, hey,
Who
I
knows
may
what
need
sorts
that
of
bucket
bizarre
in case I
hallucinations
feel
Stanley
sick.
might experience without the
I was certainly
psychologically
needed a
grounding
bucket
presence
2
of his
days
bucket.
ago.
And indeed, now he noticed
Stomach
the rules
bug.
were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley!
Oh no, this is getting bizarre.
The bucket. Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of
Okay,
him
this is
all
getting
along.
really weird.
It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
While walking.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket.
No bucket,
course
no
he'd
soul.
gone mad, ranting and raving about an narrator
Apparently
describing
buckets mean
all
a
his
lot in
actions
this
and how
universe.
everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Alright, this is JT signing out. See you guys next time. And remember to always bring your bucket with you, no matter what.